I was a alderman for 20 years in the North End. My name is Chuck Redpath. I was born and raised in the North End of Springfield. I grew up there, went to Lanfair High School, Lincoln Land Community College, and Sangamon State, which is now UIS, one of the old dogs. I have worked in Springfield as a law enforcement officer for 29 years. I did 21 years of my career at the Illinois Attorney General's office. As an investigator, worked my way up to, excuse me, the deputy chief's position. After that first 21 years, I transferred over to the Conservation Police, and I took over as the deputy chief of operations there. And I've retired from that, and now I am the director of security at the Memorial Hospital. I supervise 38 officers and run a 365, 7-day-a-week operation over there, which is not a retirement job because you got your hands full over there because we got a lot of employees. I spent 26 years in the military. I was a security officer in the United States Air Force. I transferred over to the Illinois Air National Guard and worked there and finished my career there, retiring as the chief of security forces. I was activated 2 times while I was in, once for Desert Storm and once for 9/11. My last year was active duty, and spent my time as a chief deploying troops to Afghanistan and Iraq. My years of experience as far as the office is I spent 20 years as the alderman from the North End of Springfield in Ward 4. Of those 20 years, I was Mayor Pro Tem for 12 years under Karen Acera and Tim Davlin. I am married to my wife, Bambi, for 38 years. We have 3 children and 4 grandchildren, and I am a member of the Little Flower Catholic Church.
Yes, I'm of course T. Ray McJunkins, senior pastor, lead pastor of Union Baptist Church. Might I add, T is for Tommy. That's my given name. And so when I reached 21, not only did I join the Air Force, but I thought I was just absolutely too old for Tommy. So I've been T. Ray McJunkins ever since then. Did 4 years of Air Force military, and then after that did 2 years of inactive duty with the Guards. I started pastoring, been pastoring for 28 years. Where I am now, I've been there for 12 years and have pastored, of course, 28 years, and this is my 3rd pastorate. Some say where I am now is perhaps the largest black congregation in the city. It is most certainly a historical church, 145 years old, one that you will find in the historical race riots. It was the one that was burned on Mason Street. We've done great things under my direction, my leadership. The church, we've built a 56,000 square foot facility whereby we chose to stay in the community for the very purpose to tend to the needs of the community. Probably 70% of my parishioners come from different places. Very few are actually in Ward 2 where the church is located. But as I was saying, our job is to, and my job is to make sure that we tend to the needs of the community. My record goes back to from military to pastoring, and of course, when I started pastoring, that's when I got into tending to the needs of the community, being an advocate, a voice for the community. 5 years ago, I co-founded Faith Coalition for the Common Good, one of 3 co-founders, and of course, that organization, nonprofit, has really skyrocketed and taken on some challenges, and that within itself has motivated me to roll up my sleeves and go a little bit further as it relates to running for Ward 1 alderman. understanding the system and the way it works, and knowing who decision makers are, that is what has catapulted me into wanting to be one of those decision makers for the, and I dare to say, the great city of Springfield. And I want to simply make it better. In spite of how good we are, we can always do better. I have two daughters, one 23 and one 25. Though they're not at home, they're always in your pocket. So I think we all can relate to that. But one is by profession a dental assistant, and the youngest is, and then the oldest is, she's with the Guard, Army Guard, National Guard. I am divorced, have been divorced for 5 years now. My wife, ex-wife rather, is employed by CWLP. And so just here 12 years and have decided to make this my home. And as I was telling Chuck, I plan on retiring here, but while I'm here, I want to make an impact on the city, and of course, I can do that, I believe, by city government.
Chuck, I don't know if you said why are you running again?
I'm sorry,
That's okay. Just wanted to circle back to that.
Well, I thought I was going to, after I did my stint on the city council for 20 years, I thought I was just going to ride off into the sunset, and that wasn't the case. We moved out to the lake about 7 years ago to be closer to my grandchildren. And my neighbors kind of recruited me and asked me if I was interested in running. I thought through it and talked to my family, and my wife said I could. So, but yeah, you know, I've watched the city council for the last 8 years. I'm not really satisfied with the way things have been conducted. I see a lot of indecision and non-cooperation between the executive and legislative branch. I think that I have a lot of energy, a lot of experience, and I think I can go onto the council and help out. I think I have the experience to be able to help that situation. We have major problems in Springfield. Even though most of the candidates want to tell you that there was a balanced budget, I don't believe it, because I know that we have a pension problem that's ridiculous. And it's going by the wayside of the state of Illinois because they're just ignoring it instead of attacking it. And we got to find a solution to that because we owe it to the people who paid into that pension system. I think that we need to concentrate on city water, light, and power. The pilot program that they take money out of city water, light, and power and use it for the general fund is there's something wrong with that system. It's not working the way it should. I'm not saying we do away with the program, but we need to take a good look at it, maybe readjust, and find out how we can get resources out of it without leaving the utility a little strapped. We need to look at a second water source in the city of Springfield, and we passed that ordinance for Lake 2 on one of my first term to try to get Lake 2 up off the ground. Now we're to the point where there's indecision, and we need to make a decision. There's 4 options. We do absolutely nothing, or we run a pipeline to the Illinois River, we build Lake 2, or we use the Clear Lake Sand and Gravel pit, which is not really an option for me, or neither is indecision. I've pulled a comprehensive plan from the Riverton area. They are interested in that property because they would like to make it into a park recreational area, so we know there's a market out there to sell that property. One of the things I would like to do is move that along because I don't think that's a good option. First off, the quality of the water's poor. We found that out from the Chatham people who've tapped into that water aquifer out there. And then if we even try to use it as a water source, there's other municipalities out there who would probably take us to court and try to stop us from using that water because they're tapped into it. So there's going to be a recommendation come out. There's a committee right now that's working on recommendation to bring to the city council to decide on how we're going to handle that water source. Lake 2 is probably going to be the most economical option that we're going to have, and we just need to get off the dime and move towards that. So that's some of the issues that drove me to get back involved, and I'm glad to be here and hope things go well.
Since we're on the topic of Lake 2 or second water source, what are your thoughts?
Actually, Lake 2 or Hunter Lake, I do support the second lake. However, I have concerns about the current infrastructure on starting the lake. Lake 2 goes back to the 50s. In fact, there was a drought in 54, and from that drought, discussion came about starting a second lake. There are some few things to look at, but I don't think those things are so overwhelming that we can't go forward on the second lake. Likewise, this has been discussed and discussed. Studies have been made, and we need to just move forward on it. My concerns are the cost of it, with it not having, or perhaps whatever the current infrastructure is already after talking about it so long. The cost there. The other thing, hidden things are what will a second lake do to the property value of the first lake? There's a good possibility that property value will drop because you now build a second lake, and the property value, you've got something going on there whereby we have to take that in consideration. But overall, when you look at the pros and cons of the second lake, I am most certainly for it and support proceeding with bringing on the second lake.
Do you see dredging as an option?
I'm sorry?
Dredging as an option for expanding the current lake? Expanding capacity.
I see dredging as an option. I met with the Island Bay Yacht Club, a couple people from there who actually was considering doing a dredging operation themselves. They were going to buy a dredge and dredge the area around the Island Bay area, and then they were going to donate the dredge to the city of Springfield. I was on the city council when we dredged before, and it worked out pretty well. It's a pretty expensive endeavor. Lake Decatur, they're dredging their area right now, and that's the only probably drawback for dredging. But our lake is silting in. We need to think about if we decide to do that, shore stabilization and retention ponds at the inlets that are coming into the lake, because once we take it out, the rain washes back in and it's filling back up again. So all the work we did a couple years back is kind of it's declining because we didn't build the proper retention ponds on the water inlets.
Would it have to be riprap?
No, it wouldn't have to be riprap. There's a program out there about sediment tanks, where you install a sediment tank at the inlets, and you come out and clean the sediment tank out periodically, which is easier than trying to dredge every time you turn around. So if you cleaned out those areas and you put the sediment tank, that's the best option. Obviously, riprapping is an option for places that don't, because you get the, especially with the high-speed boats that we have on Lake Springfield, they wash up on the shore and sometimes pull the shore away, but the riprap helps in that area.
What are your thoughts on that?
And I'm not for that because of, one, the expense of it, and secondly, to have to, once it's done, then having to come back and maintain and do things over and over. It's almost like repetitious, perhaps every maybe as often as every 2 years doing that. And so I don't really jump on that bandwagon all the way.
Ward 1 includes, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Palazzola's talked about the 11th Street extension and priorities.
Yes.
And that goes to Ward 1, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are. How important is that extension to Springfield or to the ward? And how, is there anything that can be done to help make that quicker?
I think 11th Street going all the way through will create another gateway. You have the university there, and the university has straight access into the city. By doing that, not only that, that area can be developed. When we, of course, get into talking about economic development, one of the things that I see are along the 11th Street corridor is from the university to there at Stevenson is a campus town. Somewhere like Springfield, when I look at Bloomington, Champaign, Peoria, those cities have campus town, and here at the capital city we do not have a campus town, and so that particular area of 11th Street I think would be perfect to begin developing and working on campus town.
What might one find at a place like that?
Oh, job opportunities. Students can work for part-time as they go to school. Of course, definitely a source of income coming into the city. Small businesses can spring up. All of that can take place in that area.
What are your thoughts?
I'm totally in support of it. The ordinance was passed by Alderman Tom Madonia when back he and I served on the city council together. It should have been done up to this point. We have some infrastructure concerns with the area at St. Francis Street and Celeste Avenue there, right next to Little Flower Church. Some of those houses are flooding because of improper sewers, and we need to fix that. And that sewer program is going to be put into that project. And as Ray said, the campus town thing, he and I get the same letters from the same people, so we know you're going to hear some similar answers. But campus town is something that we really need to look at. And as he said, we economic development and giving students an easier avenue to stick around the campus and shop and eat and that type of thing. So it will come down to the point where we have to get whoever owns the property around there interested in the project and create some economic development. But I'm totally in support of it. As a graduate of Lincoln Land and UIS, we spend time out there at the university campuses and both campuses, and so I'd be excited about that. I think that should be a top priority. I know the city's looking at it now, so hopefully if one of us get in, we can help hurry that thing along.
What types of businesses would you like to see there, and given that this is a student population, would you want to see bars, entertainment?
Well, I'm not sorry, I'm not a fan of putting bars, the tempting, but restaurants and shopping, shopping marts and that type of thing, gas stations maybe, and things that can help them with their education.
And again, speaking in terms of small businesses, that whereby the business owner can benefit as well as students can benefit. Likewise with Chuck, I don't support putting bars in, but definitely restaurants.
So this would be closer to the campus.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, and
Right.
currently there's sports fields right there too. So it's not just going to be the campus people are going to take advantage of it. You're going to see the families that come out and play soccer and use the softball fields and that kind of thing, use that stuff. So you can't ask a business person to put a business in somewhere where they're not going to be able to make it work, and that will help the whole area.
It seems like there's a disconnect between the city and the university or the colleges. They're out there and we're here.
Yeah.
Does that alone solve that problem, or is there more that can be done to bring
Well,
together?
yes. Historically, if I'm not mistaken, the disconnect is probably more the UIS board, and I think originally it was never intended to be university as we know a university, so it's kind of isolated. The future plans are to build 2 more dormitories out there, which is adequate area there, right where the present dormitories are. But I'm speaking in terms of developing the area farther down on 11th Street, like I said, from Stevenson down to the university. And of course, it does not necessarily move the university, but it develops the area so everything can get closer or appear closer to the university.
I think any sense of disconnect might have been geographic. You know, the 11th Street corridor will help open that up to the city a lot more, and you'll see. Frankly, it's a hard way. It's hard to get there. Sometimes you have to go around to get to it and stuff like that. So I think that 11th Street corridor will help open up that to our community. And you know, over the years, they went from mobile housing units at Sangamon State University on South 6th to build this beautiful university. And we got to tie it into the city of Springfield with not just for economic reasons, but for the education of our children and to build our culture. And I think it's really important. UIS and Lincoln Land are very, very important to us.
I think it will also take some of the traffic away from Toronto Road and puts more on 11th Street. And when I say more traffic on 11th Street, that's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of kind of dividing the traffic.
Just trying to get congested?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just certain times of the day, or is it
yes, you can, if you're coming off of Westlake Shore onto Toronto Road, you can pretty much tell class is changing. Because you're gonna either have traffic going west because they've just gotten out of class, or you're gonna have traffic going east because they're rushing to get to class.
And the improvement where Ray lives, he lives in Lake North Shore, and those new subdivisions out there have brought a lot more people out there. Businesses are building up on Toronto Road, and they do get a little congested at times.
Yeah.
A few years ago, there was a man it was Tony Maybe, who was killed walking on Toronto Road.
Mm-hmm.
And there are not, am I wrong? There are no
Say it again?
There are no sidewalks along Toronto.
Right.
Am I wrong?
Right. No,
Right.
you're correct.
Do you see that as being a priority as well out there? Are there more sidewalks needed in that area?
Well, and now that I envision, there are sidewalks from the fire station down to the university,
Okay.
but there are no sidewalks on the other side of the railroad track from
All
the.
businesses are.
Yes. Now the particular area where the gentleman came from, there was sidewalk, but where the accident was, there was no sidewalk.
You know, infrastructure in general is very important to that area. You know, I came from a ward that didn't have sidewalks, and sometimes the streets were unimproved, and you know, we had to make a priority out of our infrastructure. And with there's a apartment complex on Toronto Road that probably feeds into to the universities, and the kids are walking to school, they're riding their bicycles, and we got to give them an option other than the road to get to school. So that's got to be a priority. I'm running the people I'm talking to throughout the ward are telling me about the lack of infrastructure, and you'll see that there's not a lot of sidewalks in a lot of subdivisions, and it's maybe because they slipped under the wire to get the subdivisions built before the new rule came in about putting in the infrastructure. I know when I built my house in Timberlane East, they required me to have my sidewalk in before I closed my construction.
Yeah.
And we need to enforce that. We need to make sure the sidewalks are built, and Toronto Road is an area that needs some help.
What about bike paths? Are there bike trails, or do the streets have bike?
Now on the street, there is a bike lane,
Shoulder.
bike lane, but there
Still
are
dangerous.
no bike trails or what, because that bike lane is running with the traffic. And I've even seen students running, jogging in the bike lane, and I think that's dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
So what can we do about the sidewalk issue in these new subdivisions, or the subdivisions that, as you said, fell through the cracks through that window? Can anything be done to force the issue to get those sidewalks put in? What can we do as a city?
Well, it has to be part of our overall comprehensive plan. We have to make sure that when we put those things in the comprehensive plan, we just, you know, I applaud Mayor Houston for his efforts on building up the infrastructure. The road improvements that we had, very good. But the big problem in Springfield is not just sidewalks and streets. Our biggest problem is sewers. And one of the things that I've been researching is the sanitary district, and I'm a big supporter of the citizens efficiency proposal. The sewer system, if you look here, the sewers in green are the sewers that the sanitary district says they'll take over. They don't want to take over the center city, which is probably our biggest problem because that's going to be the most expensive. One of the things we got to do for our infrastructure is come up with a plan and stick to it. And we need to turn things like this back over to the entities that need to do it. When I was on the city council, we took the golf course and turned it over to the park district. We got to be more efficient in government. We don't need a big government. We need to make sure that the entities that can handle things like that do. And one of the priorities I'll have is starting to work on the sewer program.
And the sidewalks are a priority, but it's about budget managing, and the sewer takes priorities over the sidewalks. We'd like to like Christmas have a wish list and get everything done, but on that list we need someone who will constantly make the right decisions as it relates to what are the priorities. Of course, my slogan is common sense solutions for the common good, and it's not about what I think is best, but what's the best for everybody, for the entire city, the common good. And so when as much as I would like, or this resident would like to have sidewalks in their community, we have to constantly keep before them that for the common good of everybody, we need to work on this sewer system.
What sewer and drainage issues do you see in Ward 1? What are there specific places where there are?
And Ward 1 is one of those wards that really is not faced with. I think when we talk about sewer issues, that's where we would be one of 10 aldermen who would be making the city decisions. When I speak in terms of sewer issues, I'm talking about the flooding in various areas of the city.
Sometimes new subdivisions can cause
Yes.
sewer issues, right?
Yeah, and for Ward 1, and maybe Chuck, you know better than I do, but for Ward 1, I'm not aware of any.
The only problem, sewer problem that was brought to my attention was the St. Francis Celeste area. They're getting flooding in that area.
And that's an older area.
As all like Ray said, the big problem is we have to address it as a community, because our biggest problem is downtown Springfield. The sewers are so old. Some of them are brick. Even some of them were wood at one time, if I remember right. We're going to have to be part of a collaborative group to decide to tackle that issue. And Ward 1's a lot of the problems for sewer-related stuff is transitioning the septic systems over to the sewer system out there. That's very important for Ward 1.
How do you propose getting the money to?
Well, obviously you have to prioritize infrastructure changes, and one of the things I'd like to look at when I get to the council is how are we spending our revenues from the gambling stuff that we're getting from that kind of money should be going to capital projects, and most of it should be infrastructure. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly where it goes right now. I haven't researched that yet, but that we got to find, and this is not a problem that somebody's going to say they can solve. We all need to think outside the box and come up with some new ideas on how to solve these problems, and that's the only way we're going to move forward.
I think with what we have done over the years is we've become a cookie cutter, and so with the budget, to do things the way we've always done them has been the easy way. But for new faces, new ideas, to get in there and look at the budget and not be afraid, as Chuck said, out of the box, not afraid to deviate from the way we've always done it, and in doing so, looking at structure-wise how and the finances, the line items are being channeled, and how they're, we mentioned earlier about a balanced budget. It's one thing to have a budget, but a balanced budget is where, of course, we all know when you've got income coming in and going out equally versus all the income is going out, and so just looking at those line items to see exactly how they're structured and where finances are being channeled.
And to follow up on Ray's comments, that's exactly the way you got to do things. But one of the problems I've seen with the city council is they eliminated the legislative committees and went to the committee of the whole. I think that's a waste of time. I think that the state of Illinois has used the committee as a whole for one thing, and that was to impeach Blagojevich. And now we got to go back to the committee process. And one of my initiatives when I come to the council, I will introduce an ordinance to reestablish the committees: the Finance Committee, the Public Works Committee, the Public Safety Committee, and the Utility Committee, because we don't have enough debate on what's going on. And when you're talking about prioritizing infrastructure, you got to do that through debate. You're gonna you can hold the departments accountable, talking to the directors, and make sure that they're doing what we want with the money. The way I saw the committee as a whole, the agenda was dictated by the administration, who brought it in, the legislative guys, and forgive me for being blunt, but a lot of egos in that room, and they grandstanded a little bit on a couple issues, and then they passed it. You got to debate things. You got to bring it to debate. You got to allow people to come in and talk, and they do that on the committee process, and then you don't have to take up the time at the city council. But I think it's important that we reestablish the committees, and I think you're going to get better debate. You're going to be able to solve some of the problems. You put professionals like us on different committees. I'm a public safety guy, so I was chairman of the Public Safety Committee. I was chairman of the Public Works Committee. But you also have people in our community that are going to be on the city council that have finance backgrounds. They're going to be on the finance committee. People that are engineers could go on the utility committee. That's a very, very important aspect of what we need to do to get some movement in the city council and have interaction between the administrative and the legislative branches.
What do you think?
Yeah, you're looking at 10 aldermen, and with committees, we can focus more so on the committee in which we work than to be focusing on the broad picture. And I think we would be most effective, whereby all of us are professionals in what we do, but if you give me this particular item to focus on, I'm better at that than trying to focus on several items.
6 minds are better than one.
When you were on the city council before, that was under the commission form of government?
No, I was the first elected automatic form of government, and we had the committees from then on until I retired after 20 years.
Okay, so do you believe that the council has adequate analytical capacity to evaluate proposals by the executive, or do you see that as an issue?
Oh, no, I don't see that as an issue at all. We, especially this new group of aldermen that are coming in all over the city, have a lot of different expertise that they can use to help the city along. When you got a couple people making the decisions and bringing it to you just for you to vote on, you're not people. The people aren't getting what we're put into office to do. We need to be the watchdogs. The aldermen need to be the watchdogs of the House. We're the ones that got to hold the directors accountable, hold the mayor's office accountable, and the treasurer and the city clerk.
I think I misstated.
Okay.
I meant by analytical capacity staff. Do you believe that the staff available to the city council
Yes,
to
and
evaluate complex issues is adequate, or would you recommend some changes in that?
no, I think it's adequate. I think we got adequate.
And likewise, I think it's adequate. I think the council need to, for a lack of words, have these directors and those who are working with the directors to start doing their job, and it's that simple.
A lot of people, one of you alluded to, disappointment in how the council's functioned in the last few years. We've heard that from a lot of people in different races who have come in. I think even some people have used the word dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you see that happening, and how would you approach the job in terms of working with the mayor and with, as you've noted, 9 other wards, aldermen, especially on city issues?
Mhm.
Go ahead, Ray.
I think Chuck mentioned that about the council, and I agree with him. What we have is perhaps a lot of yes people, yes to everything. Now, in their defense, sometimes you have a mayor, a leader who will intimidate people so much so until they just go with the flow. On the other hand, if the council does not have adequate orientation as to knowing what their job is, then you'll wind up with people who are just sitting in the seat, going with the flow. 10 people, but one person is really running everything. And so it's again, as we were saying earlier, with new faces coming on. If you notice, I think, Corey and Doris are the only two who are not opposed. So however you look at it, there's a good possibility that you may have 8 new people coming on. It would definitely be a new person in Ward 1, however you look at it, simply because Frank's time is up. And so,
5 new people guaranteed.
Yes.
yes.
And I concur with that. But I think, especially this administration that's going out, it just seemed like he didn't want to share anything with the city council.
Mhm.
The 2 candidates for mayor right now, both are credible, intelligent guys, and I don't think no matter who gets elected in that chair, I think they're going to reach out to the city council because they're hearing it like we are. People are saying our voices are not being heard at the city council because of lack of communication between the administrative and executive branch. And I, for one, will reach out to whoever the mayor is and open the door. And they got to understand that we're all part of it. All 11 of us are part of the city council, and we all should have our voice.
Mhm.
Let's go back to the sewers just for a moment.
Sure.
One of your blessings, so to speak, is your experience on the council. It can be a curse too. You were on the council for 12 years, and the flooding problem downtown was happening. I'm sorry,
20.
20 years, excuse me. Did you do anything then to address this?
We did appropriate money for the funds, but it's such an overwhelming problem that you gotta systematically allocate the funds to repair those things. And I can tell you that I think it's more important I don't know that we really have the expertise to be in the sewer business, and that's one of the reasons that the Efficiency Commission's recommendation is to try to move towards turning that over to the sanitary district. I think that's our best option, but sanitary district is not interested in inheriting a big debt, so we got to figure out a compromise on how we're going to turn that over to them. But we got to make government more efficient, and I think the sewer system is one of them that we need to turn over to professionals.
Yeah, I agree. I believe in letting professionals do their job. You don't go into the doctor's office telling him what to do. And so likewise, we know when it rains, it floods. And so I need someone who knows about sewer drainage to speak to me and give me some direction. And then, as Chuck said, you then debate, you talk about it. But if other than that, then it never happens, or without the debate, without talking about it, you have someone who does things the way they do it, and that's not always necessarily what's best for the overall city.
So you both talked about prioritizing those projects. Are you willing to consider another revenue source, a tax hike, to pay for more upgrades? Because it doesn't seem like they're plugging away at it, but it's a present problem.
I'm absolutely against a tax hike on anything. I believe that if we look at line items, which is it's not a comparison, but I manage a $1.2 million budget, and I'm constantly looking at line items as to where I can move money from what line item to another. And so likewise, using that same strategy based on how the year is going to juggle money moving from line item to maintain that budget and to perhaps even get a little additional to do the jobs that we've talked about, such as sewer.
Now, you're not going to get too many people to walk in here and say that they're for a tax increase, and I'm not for a tax increase either. But you know, we got to be real, and there's not enough money in the line items in the city of Springfield to reach out and cut things out to pay for something else. That's the priority that the state of Illinois does right now. They rob Peter to pay Paul, and they don't have enough revenue coming in. I'm open to listen to discussion. I'm going to be clear and honest with my people that I represent. My philosophy is to keep my voters informed. I hold ward meetings. I return phone calls. I talk to people via letter. Before I would consider any kind of revenue increases, I would take that to my people and see how they feel. I learned early as a young alderman, you don't put up stop signs without getting somebody's approval, because I put up a stop sign in Ward 4, and boy, my phone rang off the wall for about a week, and I learned to get some input before I did stuff like that. But you know, we got to think outside the box. We got to find different revenue sources. We got to you know, we just can't cut government down to the point where it's not functional.
CWLP rates, are you along the same lines? Are you open to considering additional or considering rate restructuring or rate hikes if needed? Do you think that's something that's needed? What are your thoughts
Well,
on how CWLP is doing?
We're talking about a second revenue source. I mean, a second water source, and I don't know how we're going to do that without some kind of increase there. Obviously, we don't want to pass that along to our ratepayers unless we have to. But you know, we got to come up with a second water source. There's no way that the city's going to be able to sustain by growing as much as we are with the water we have. You know, again, I want to hear the debate and find out what it is and make sure that we're comparable. One of the things that's going to come up on the city council that's very important is the wind contract that's coming up. You know, we lose a lot of money on the wind contract, and I think it's important for us to renegotiate that contract to the benefit of the city of Springfield. We lose probably double what we take in on it, and that's a source of revenue that might help us if we can renegotiate that to the point where we got some real revenue coming back to us instead of going out.
I say regarding CWLP, again, it's about management. Number one on the agenda is to have a full audit so we can see exactly how are the funds being managed. Again, I am absolutely against any rate increase. At the same time, alternative energy such as wind, water, solar, Lincoln Land and Career area, they're doing quite a bit of things with solar energy, and so that's again alternative ways. But with it being understood, I'm just absolutely against rate increase. I do think also hiring a general manager, again, it's about management. And someone to overlook the project, the whole CWLP, as well as keeping everybody on the mark, directors, and staying on course with things. Starting with that number one, that audit, whereby you'll be surprised at what you'll discover where money is slipping through the cracks and going in different places. And then from the audit, then a general manager who can manage everything and keeping everybody on target with what needs to be done.
I agree. General manager is very important, but it has to be a professional. It can't be a political appointment.
Absolutely.
We got to make sure that we have a professional in there. You know, Eric Hobby is an outstanding engineer, but he's a part-time general manager. So we need to get him some help. But it cannot be a political person. It has to be somebody with credentials that show that they're a general manager that can handle a utility of that size.
And with CWLP, we've got to stop looking back and look forward. Move forward. We can't do anything about what has happened. Whether it's Sierra Club or what, that's in the past. And if we're going to go forward, we've got to look forward and not look back.
Wondering where each of you stand on the idea of body cameras for police officers. Do you have thoughts on that?
Absolutely, yes,
You're in favor of outfitting them?
yes.
Why is that? What do you think? What do you think they
Well,
should do?
it's in light of after the Ferguson situation, well, and then just nationwide, I stand on the side of both the voice of the community as well as the police officer, and for the safety of the police officer as well as the safety of the victim, if we might say, the body cam would be an asset to both.
Chuck, your stance is in
Well,
law enforcement.
Yeah, as a law enforcement officer, I agree with that. I think that for the safety of the possible suspect and the police officer, my son's a police officer, and they worry about coming home every night too. So I think the body cams are a good idea. One of the things that we have to make sure we do though before we start the body cams, and I haven't heard a lot of talk about this, is how are we going to store the information? What is the legalities of how the stuff can be accessed? Not only by the press but by the public, to find out how that information is being used and to make sure it's accurate. So I just want to make sure that we're going through the process right. Everybody was rushing to buy body cams, but you got to think about the legalities of how that information is being used.
Are there any changes that you want to see to Springfield's police department right now? Areas where you feel they could be doing a better job?
Well, I think the police department is pretty well run. I think that they got a pretty good staff there. I, for one, think that we need to work on our diversity problem there. As a police officer and a manager in police departments, that's a big priority. Our police department should reflect our community, and I think that if we're not doing enough, we need to do enough to bring more diversity to the police department.
How do you do that?
I'm sorry.
What has to happen?
Well, I think you have to start earlier than what we are. I mean, I heard somebody on the radio the other day say things about trying to implement some technical school implementations, like giving some police classes in high school and even fire classes, so people get interested in the career field. And I think that was a pretty good idea. And to reach out to young men and women who are interested and offer police cadet type classes. Go on the ride along, see how things are going about, and see if they're even interested in that kind of stuff. We got to bring some diverse. The last thing we want in Springfield, Illinois, is problems that are going around the country. And thanks to my opponent, he's really taken the lead on a lot of that stuff and was able to help the community move through this.
I think the police department has a great leader in the person of Chief Winslow, and I say that because he's open-minded. And working with him, I think what police department probably should do is get into a partnership with 186 and get into the school district, the schools at the perhaps middle school age, and at that age introduce them to law enforcement. There was a time when you would ask the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, and people would immediately say a police officer, but now nobody wants to be a police officer because the community has painted a poor picture of the police officer. And I think if the police department gets back into the school to paint the picture of this is what we do and this is what our job is, getting into the school district, and then secondly, I think in-house the police department need to have ongoing sensitivity workshops and training for the police officers. One of the best classes I ever took was cross-culture preaching. And that enabled me to get out of the thought or the idea that everybody is Baptist and everybody is black and this is the way everybody functions. But if the police officer, just like a school teacher, could get into the sensitivity classes, the ongoing classes, because they're constantly dealing with the community to help them, you don't have to become African American or become Hispanic, but if you're going to be patrolling those areas, you need to understand the culture differences of that. And the only way that can happen is that you teach me, you show me the way, and that's not a one-time thing. That's ongoing. You've got to constantly keep that at the forefront.
And just a follow-up to that, as a director of security, I have 38 officers, and I put all my officers through a de-escalation training called MANT. It's one of the most remarkable programs I've ever been around in my career as law enforcement and security. It gives our officers, we go less hands-on now because we're able to de-escalate situations by talking people down, and it's very successful at our hospital. And believe me, my officers answer between 3,000 and 4,000 calls a month, and we deal with every aspect of the community. And we are able to talk a lot of people down. We have to go to the psych ward on a regular basis and talk to those folks. And believe me, they're having a bad day. So you just got to understand that you got to be. My father told me when I got into police work, hey, listen, when you go there, they're having a bad day. So you need to understand. You need to be compassionate about what's going on in those situations. So I think that type of training might be something our police department might want to think about, because I am very, very sold on the MANT program for de-escalation.
What does that stand for? Chuck?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you that yeah, I can send it to you if you want.
I'm just interested in.
MANT, M-A-N-T.
Oh, M-A-N-T, MANT.
M-A-N-D-T.
M-A-N-D-T.
Yeah.
I'll go with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also think with the police department to promote diverse police and fire department to promote diversity. I think if they would introduce the community to the process of the testing, of the application process, if I might say so, that will encourage people to either apply or discourage people to apply. But just to say the firefighters or the police force where there's a window we're going to be testing or we're going to be taking applications, unlike other jobs, I think they need to kind of sell themselves in a way whereby we're trying to get minorities in here and women rather than present it in a way whereby we don't want minorities and women.
And I wanted to ask also, you brought up video gaming earlier, I think, in the context of paying for
Sure.
infrastructure for those. But I would like to ask, it looks like as of the end of January, there were 7 video gaming establishments in Ward 1, which isn't.
There's probably more than
excessive
that.
compared to the others.
It's probably more than that because all the clubs have it now too.
Okay.
The lake clubs, most of them have them.
Okay. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Are you happy with the city's rules on video gaming? Would you like to see more restrictions? No restrictions? What are your thoughts on?
Well, I'm pretty satisfied with what's going on. I think that the market's starting to get saturated a little bit, and I just like liquor licenses. I don't know that we want to just keep giving them out. Maybe we need to think about holding up on the licenses, because there's enough video poker machines in the city that can handle the traffic that they need. And I just don't want our city to be known as the little Las Vegas, I guess, of the United States. So I think we need to keep control on it. I think it's great that we're getting the money off it that we can use for our capital infrastructure projects, but I don't think it needs to grow much bigger than what we got now.
And my thoughts on it, video gaming is I think the door is wide open, and one would think, well, a pastor saying that, that's one of those things. If that's what you choose to do, that's your hobby or that's your game, then I don't want to hinder you from it. I agree with Chuck when we talk about liquor license or what have you, but if you choose to play the video gambling, then that's you. Again, the income is coming in to the city.
So do you think it's actually possible to determine which revenue is video gaming and actually have it committed to a specific
Well, yeah.
project like that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I think that we need to make sure that the city council understands where that money's going and
Absolutely.
how we can use it to best serve our city. We shouldn't be paying for projects that we don't approve, and that's where the miscommunication between the administrative and the legislative branch comes in. But we need to know exactly where that money's going.
Yes, absolutely.
So where do you two disagree? What do you think is your main point that you would disagree on, having heard each other or studied each other's position? You agree
Goodness,
on a lot.
Well, I
I'm
don't.
not sure.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that.
That's
But
fine. I was just wondering.
Sorry
if there was
about
something
This
that
was
you-
going fine until that question.
listen, I want to just say, I've known Ray for since he's been in Springfield. He's a decent man, and people are going to vote for him, and people are going to vote for me. And we just we do agree on a lot of things because we both been reaching out to our community and finding out what the issues are and what the problems are. And there's no reason to be disgruntled with people just because they're opponents. When this race is over, Ray and I are going to be friends,
Yeah.
and we're going to work together. He still does good things with his with Faith Coalition
Yeah.
stuff, and I'm still going to be active in the community no matter who wins. And we both feel. I'm speaking for him, but we both feel pretty comfortable with each other, I think. And you may not have had that in other races, but he and I have not had any problems.
No.
And you know what?
I'm not-
I've never ran a campaign where I ran anything negative on anything on my opponent. I always run on what I can do. My opponent's going to run on what they can do, and I always run on what I can do. I don't care what's out there, and I don't believe in scandal or any kind of malarkey. I'm just going to tell you what I can do, and if you think that's the right person for the job, that's the way it goes.
I'm not sure where we disagree. I'm sure there is somewhere along the line where we're disagree. Of course, Chuck is wearing a navy blue suit. I came close to wearing a navy blue suit today. That's about it. But I'm.
Retire is where you would disagree.
Yeah.
I'm a North Ender. I'm an old North Ender. So.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing that's.
Nothing that has popped up.
No, the issues are there.
Yeah.
If you do
Yeah,
your homework, you know
right.
what the issues
I think
are,
we're
and the issues
faced
are
with
there.
the same issues, and we want to accomplish the same thing for our city.
Any other questions? I think we're in good shape. Thank you
Okay.
both very much
All right.
for being here today.
Thank you guys for having us.
Appreciate it.